Parramatta should be a global city and the best multicultural community in the world. And I see enormous potential in that, and I'm very excited to work to deliver that if I'm elected as the member for Parramatta. So I've always had an interest in politics, and I've always believed in the power of politics to make a positive contribution to our country and to people's lives. I went to university at Sydney University to study economics. I left Sydney University and I went to Oxford University in the UK to do a Masters of Economics. I left the Masters and went to work briefly at the United Nations in New York in economics. I came back to Oxford, I did a PhD in economics. I then worked at the London School of Economics as a lecturer. I wrote 2 books about economics. To cut a long story short, I think when we get economics right, we make our nation stronger and fairer. Helping families with the financial pressures that they face, especially childcare costs, energy costs, and broader cost of living. Second thing is making sure that we have the building blocks of opportunity in Parramatta, that kids can get ahead. They have the skills that they need, the economic and social infrastructure to make this a great place to live. And the third one is making sure that Parramatta is a jobs hub. Well, you should vote for us because we have a really strong plan for Parramatta's future. A plan for job creation, a plan to create social and economic infrastructure, and a plan to help families with cost of living pressures.
Good day everyone, my name is Navneet Anand from aajKal, local and global. Federal election in Australia is around the corner on 21st of May 2022. And today we have Mr. AndrewCharlton, the Labour candidate from Parramatta in studio.
Great
Welcome
to be with you.
To the show.
Thank you very much.
Before I start, you have the great economic credentials. Why did you decide to pick Parramatta as a seat to start with?
Well, I've spent my whole life as an economist and business owner working to build stronger economies and stronger communities, and I see an enormous amount of potential in Parramatta. Parramatta has the second biggest CBD in New South Wales, which should be a significant global city, attracting talent from all across Sydney and all across the nation. It also has incredible heritage and parks, and it has amazingly strong and diverse communities. So Parramatta should be a global city and the best multicultural community in the world. And I see enormous potential in that, and I'm very excited to work to deliver that if I'm elected as the member for Parramatta.
Well, I love Parramatta. This is a city away from the city and 20 minutes from where we are sitting at the moment. When did you decide to get into the politics?
Well, I've worked in politics for a long time. I worked for Kevin Rudd when he was Prime Minister as his economic advisor through the global financial crisis. So I've always had an interest in politics, and I've always believed in the power of politics to make a positive contribution to our country and to people's lives. And so when the opportunity came up to stand in the election for Parramatta, I jumped at it. And to be honest, I'm thrilled that I did, because it's such a vibrant city, the communities are so strong, and there is so much potential in Parramatta that is just ready to be unleashed. And in many ways, the future of Parramatta is the future of Australia. And that's why I'm so excited to be delivering a plan for Parramatta and to be talking to voters about that every day.
Nervous or confident for the results coming up soon?
Look, I think it's going to be close. I definitely think it's going to be a close race. And the best thing we can do is just get out there. We're on the doors every day talking to people. We're at train stations every morning. We're at schools. Every single day we're out there talking to as many people as possible, telling them about our plan for Parramatta. And we've put together a detailed, substantive, forward-looking plan that lays out everything we want to do for Parramatta. We thought it was important to do that so people are clear about our objectives and what we stand for. And the best thing we can do is talk to people about that every single day.
AndrewCharlton, what I want to do is take you back to your childhood memory lane and see what have you been during those days and what have you achieved all this number of years?
Sure. Well, I was born not far from here in Kenthurst.
Right.
I have one older brother who was adopted by my family from Korea before I was born. I went to university at Sydney University to study economics. I left Sydney University and I went to Oxford University in the UK to do a Masters of Economics. I left the Masters and went to work briefly at the United Nations in New York in economics. I came back to Oxford, I did a PhD in economics. I then worked at the London School of Economics as a lecturer. I wrote 2 books about economics. To cut a long story short, I went very deep on economics. And the reason I did that is because I think when we get economics right, we make our nation stronger and fairer. And my passion is building strong economies and strong communities, supporting small businesses, creating jobs. I've spent my whole life working on that, and I'm very excited to be given the opportunity to implement that in Parramatta.
Create and maintain jobs for the Australian resident and citizens. There's probably need of the hour at this point as well. We all have gone through tough times during pandemic for last 2.5, 3 years. When you talk about economics, that excites me as well, that yes, things need to get right back on track sooner than later. What are the 3 things that you will champion for the communities?
Well, as I said before, we have a detailed plan for Parramatta, and the elements of those plan are laid out in the document, which I encourage people to read. The 3 main things are, number 1, helping families with the financial pressures that they face, especially childcare costs, energy costs, and broader cost of living. Second thing is making sure that we have the building blocks of opportunity in Parramatta, that kids can get ahead. They have the skills that they need, the economic and social infrastructure to make this a great place to live. And the third one is making sure that Parramatta is a jobs hub, where we have great, high-paid, high-skilled jobs and thriving small businesses. So those are the 3 key things that we want to do, and we lay out in detail our plans to do them and how we're going to do them here in Parramatta.
I know it's a council jobs to provide infrastructure to all the residents in Parramatta. The way population is going up and up every day in that area, probably infrastructure need to be laid out for the future as well.
That's right. And we do have a lot of infrastructure needs in Parramatta. Transport infrastructure, social infrastructure, protecting some of our heritage assets in Parramatta, health, schools. These are all things that need investment as Parramatta grows to make sure that that growth is managed well, planned well, and Parramatta becomes a fantastic place to live and work.
I heard that you happened to be there in that birthday celebrations for Pramukh Swamiji's at Opera House as well. What were the vibes all around like from the Indian community there?
Look, the energy was incredible. The sense of celebration, the sense of service. Pramukh Swami Maharaj is an inspiration to people right across the world. His teachings, his philosophy, his support for interfaith harmony, his belief in service and supporting others, all of those are messages that I think create a huge amount of energy and positivity and actually resonate with every community and every country right around the world. So it's been fantastic to be part of the BAPS community, visit their temple, and of course attend the event at the Opera House.
When we're talking about Parramatta, and if we don't talk about Little India, it wouldn't be fair. Little India President, what do you think, what difference will it make to the Parramatta area?
Well, there are so many special things about Parramatta, but Little India, there in Harris Park, is really one of the things that makes Parramatta incredibly unique. No other place in Sydney has that precinct. It is, the beating heart of the South Asian community right across Sydney. It's such a special place, whether it be the food, the saris, the jewellery, it all comes together to create a great atmosphere and a great vibe. I would like to see Harris Park taken to the next level. I would love to see an investment in that area that makes it a tourist destination for people right across Sydney, right across the nation, and right across the world. And I think it has the potential to do that. And we should be attracting people to Harris Park to experience the culture, be part of the vibe on the street, and really blow that up so that we have a fantastic tourist destination right here in Parramatta and a celebration of South Asian culture in Harris Park.
You being the small business person yourself, I normally talk about the post-COVID recovery path. So what are your views on that?
Well, I think we need to make it easier for small business. I worked for Kevin Rudd, and after I finished working for Kevin Rudd, I started a small business of my own. I started it by myself in my attic, and I know how hard it is to start from scratch and grow a small business. I understand the regulation that people have on them. I understand how challenging it is to employ people. I understand all the tax burdens, and I think we need to make that easier for small business. Because small business is actually right at the center of our economy. 2/3 of all employed people are employed by small business. So if we care about jobs, if we care about employment, we have to focus on supporting small business. I took my business, I grew it, ultimately employed 70 people before I sold it to Accenture. So I understand how much hard work is involved in starting a small business. I understand how tough it is. I understand how many barriers there are for people starting a small business. And I want to be part of taking those barriers down, supporting more people to start a business. And that's particularly important in Parramatta. In Parramatta, there are an enormous number of people in small business. 22,000 small businesses in Parramatta. It is a big part of our economy, and if we want to get Parramatta moving, supporting small business is a key way to do that.
You being an economist yourself, there has been a rise in interest rate very, very recently as well, and inflation. The impact that there's going to be greater in the coming months. Any plans that you have in mind how to tackle that if given a chance to be elected in the government?
Absolutely. Well, people are doing it very tough at the moment in many parts of Australia. They have the triple whammy. Wages that haven't been going up, costs that are going up at the petrol pump, at the grocery store, everywhere else, and now interest rates.
That's right.
Going up. So a lot of people are facing that triple whammy, and Labor has put forward very strong policies under Anthony Albanese and Jim Chalmers and others about how we support people with those cost of living pressures. It starts with childcare. We have a good plan for energy costs. We have bipartisan support over the next few months to provide support for families in terms of helping them with the cost of living crisis that is immediately upon them. And then long-term plans to make sure that inflation doesn't get out of control. We start to bring that inflation down and build a strong economy that helps families with financial pressures, creates lots of jobs, and delivers the prosperity that we all want for Australia's future.
Now, I wish all the best to whoever gets into the power on 21st of May. It's not too far. We are all optimists that we will get over this situation as well. But before I wrap up, if I'm a resident of your constituent, why should I vote for you?
Well, you should vote for us because we have a really strong plan for Parramatta's future. A plan for job creation, a plan to create social and economic infrastructure, and a plan to help families with cost of living pressures. We've written that plan down. You can find it on our website, and we have the energy and experience to deliver that plan and make Parramatta a fantastic place to live and work.
And I would be keeping an eye, not only the federal election all over the country, but would keep a close eye on Parramatta as well, and wish you all the best. I look forward to catch you over and over again. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
जी हाँ, आज हमने की एंड्रयू चार्ल्टन से बातचीत और मैं आपका नवनीत. Thank you so much.
Terrific to be with you.
One-stop answer to your Australian education and visa matters. Gemco Sydney. Dream big, achieve big.
VG Times. Be with the times.